Okay, so for your box, you've got to set up, this is the LED, and this is the switch, or the button. Um, Now, LED stands for light emitting diode. A diode is a special electrical component that allows electricity to flow through one direction, but not the other direction. So it can be really useful in kind of routing the traffic around your circuit. So an LED is just a diode that lights up when it's letting the energy go through it. But remember, it only lets the energy go through one direction. Let me show you how that works. So here is our blue's meter. I put it into this mode, which is that little orange symbol. It's a symbol for a diode. That's the electrical symbol for a diode. So put it on that. And by default, when you put it on that, it puts it into continuity mode, which is what makes it beep when you know the wires are touching. And so you have to hit this, on this meter, you have to hit this little button here to switch it to diode mode. Okay? So, watch what happens here. I'm just going to meter this out and test this LED. So, I'm just going to hook the wires up. Now you see how it's measuring some voltage there? Okay? So it's working, but watch what happens if I turn it around and put the leads on the other end. Nothing. Okay? Because the energy isn't allowed to move through the opposite direction. So you got to put it through the right way. So generally speaking, if we were going to do this, most LEDs are going to come with the two leads of different lengths. And the long length is the one where you want to have be your positive DC, right? And the short length is the negative side. And that's where it's going to go through. Now, sometimes these will get bent or cut off, and you can't figure out which is which. There's always a little shortcut. I don't know if you can see it in here, but one side of this LED is flat right there. Can you see that? Kind of. So that flat side is the side that blocks the energy. The energy won't go through that way. So that's how you know that's where your negative battery goes. Okay? Now, the problem is we're going to put a 9-volt battery into our cable checker. Why? Because 9-volt battery will last forever, and it's easy to put a little clip on it to connect it up, and you don't have to have a whole contraption. But more importantly, it just lasts a really long time. But these LEDs cannot handle 9 volts without letting the magic smoke out. So all electrical devices are powered by magic smoke. And when you see the smoke come out, that's when you know it's really dead. Okay? And I let the magic smoke out of this LED right before class because I just hooked it straight up to the 9-volt battery. So let me show you. I'm going to hook it up to the right leads, and I get nothing. Why? Because I killed it. Okay? Because all I did is stick it right on that 9-volt battery, and poof, it was dead. That's what you don't want to do. So what do we need? We need a way to soak up some of that energy. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to hook up a little resistor in a line with this thing. And what a resistor does is it resists the flow of energy. It basically absorbs, soaks up some energy. Your kit should have come with a bank of 4 resistors like this. Let me show you how they work. I'm going to turn this into measuring resistance. And let me just measure one of these. These are supposed to be about 220 ohm resistors-ish. All right, it's measuring 215, 217, 216, somewhere, okay? This is ohms, so it's a measurement of the resistance, okay? So that's about right. There's some math that you can do. You could look this up as far as like, what's my voltage, what is the LED, how much resistance do I need to not burn it up? It depends, of course, on the voltage and the LED and all. So these specific LEDs with the 9-volt battery need about 220 ohms resistor to soak up the remaining energy that the LED isn't going to use. The LED is going to use the energy it uses to light up, and then you got to do something else with the rest of it so it doesn't stay inside the LED. So that's what the resistor is for. So you can see what I did is I put the resistor over there on that flat side, which is where I'm going to connect the negative terminal of the battery. And then so that's where I put my white wire, because my white wire is going to go to that negative terminal. And then you pick each one of your 4 colors and put that on the other side. I'm going to show you how to solder this up in a second. But watch what happens now that I got this right. So I'm going to hook this up to the 9-volt battery, and it will light up. Bing! Okay? So what you want to have happen in your cable checker is you are going to basically insert your cable into this circuit. Okay? So you're going to stick your cable between here and here and put one end of your cable on that positive terminal and the other end of your cable on this end that feeds the LED. And therefore, if your cable is working, you will complete the circuit and the LED lights up. And that's how you know it's right. That's what's happening in these cable checkers you've been using. Is we're just building a circuit that lets you insert your cable into this loop. And if your wires are connected, the LED lights up. And it doesn't burn up because we put a resistor in it to soak up the rest of the energy. So this one's fine. I've lit it up several times now, and it hasn't burned up yet. Whereas the one I burned up for class, it burned up instantly. Like, it never even, no light even came out of it. It just was like, poof, gone. Okay? So, the flat side, or the short wire, is going to be the negative. Okay? And the round side, or the long wire, is going to be where you put the positive wire. It's called an anode and a cathode. But for your purposes, think positive and negative. That's probably going to make more sense to you. Okay, so that's what you got to make. Now let me show you how to do it. So here is a fresh LED. Okay, now I'm going to test it again, just to make sure it works before I go to all the trouble of everything I'm about to have to do to it. So let's just make sure that I haven't burned this one up. I've been messing around with a bunch of them. Okay, this one's good. It's not one of the ones I've broken. So we can do it. So you'll notice that one of these wires is dangling off is a little bit longer than the other one. So that's where you put your positive, negatives on the short one. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to stick this in my vise. I'm not going to clamp it really tight. You could squish this thing with this vise easily. Just tight enough to hold it there. And what you're going to do is you're going to get one of your wires. So I'll do my blue one. And you're basically just going to solder the wire to this thing. Okay? And the way I like to do it is I found that it works a little bit better if I count. You don't want to leave these really long like this, because then they're going to short out inside the box and they'll break. So I like to get my little pliers here, and I like to make myself a little loop at the end of this, okay? And that little loop is going to become my solder lug, okay? That's where I'll put my solder. You don't have to do this step. I've just found that it's helpful, okay? And then I'm going to go and trim this off. I'm just going to get my pliers and flatten that down, okay? All right, now I'll get my soldering iron and see if I'm hot enough yet. Oh yeah. Okay. So I'm just going to basically tin this little loop that I've made. Just put a little blob of solder on there. And And then I will get, I've already done an orange, so I'll do blue this time. So I'll trim this off nice and short like we like to. This is already tinned, this wire. And I'm going to hold it in place while it cools. Okay. I should be able to tug on that and it'll stay put. Okay? Ready with me so far? All right, so now I'm going to make a loop here on the other side for the resistor. Again, this just gives us something to grab onto. All right. And I will tin that really quickly here. Put a solder on it. All right, now I got to get one of my resistors. I'm just going to pull it out of the tape here. Then I'm going to cut it because I don't need this long wire. So I'm just going to put that off. And I'm going to solder it on. Okay. All right, that's on there. Now I'm going to make my little loop again at the bottom of the resistor. Back. Okay. Cut this off. The reason those leads are so long in the resistors, normally you would put this through like a circuit board or something. And we are going to do that on a different project, not this one. Okay, so now I need a white wire, right? Because in my color scheme, white is everything that goes on the LEDs and will ultimately go to the negative battery terminal. So I'll cut this short, and then I'll solder it to my LED. To the resistor that's soldered to the LED. That wire got hot. Hang on to it.
The one you're hooking up to the resistor on the negative side, right?
Yep. All right, let's see. Did I get it? I think so. All right, there you go. Now, one last step is you've got a lot of exposed wire here, and these are really close together, right? And you don't want to. Well, you're going to cram all that stuff inside your box, and those things are going to short together, and then your cable tracker won't work. So here's what we're going to do. I have in here some different colors of heat shrink. Okay, so now here's some orange. And we go ahead and get a little swath of that. And then let's see, I've also got, looks like I've got some white in here. You don't have to match the colors, but if you want to, you can. Okay, so I just got myself a couple little bits of heat shrink. And I'm going to get that one I did before. Okay, the white one. So I'm going to slide it over this wire and take it all the way up over the resistor, over my connector, over my lead, and I'll go ahead and put the orange one on here as well. I might have cut these a little long, but that'll be all right. That one definitely doesn't need to be that one. Save that for the other thing. You just want to cover up the exposed wires, okay? And then you get your heat gun. And just shrink these things around it. Okay. And that'll protect it, keep it from shorting out inside your box. Okay, so that's the LED. You got to do that times 4, one for each color. Okay. Now the switch. It's gonna come with a little lock washer and a nut. Go ahead and just put that on right now. You'll take it off later when you mount it in the box, but just so you don't lose it. Go ahead and stick it on there. Okay, now you've got 2 terminals on this thing. It doesn't matter which one you use. Okay. There's really, even though I said positive and negative on the little sheet, there's really no such thing. It's just a switch. You push the button and it connects the circuit. Let's prove it with the meter. So I put it into continuity mode, which means when I touch the wires, it'll beep. So if I put it on here, okay, no beep, right? Until I push the button. But watch, I can flip it around and it'll still work. So it doesn't matter which way you do it, okay? So in your cable checker, you're going to, the whole idea is we're going to insert your cable into that LED circuit, but the switch is going to break that circuit by default. Okay, so even though you hook your cable up to it, it's still not a complete circuit. Okay, and it's when you push the button that you complete the circuit. Right? You push the button, and the electricity now goes out the connector, through your cable, back into the other connector, through the LED, through the resistor, and back to the negative battery. And if the electricity makes it through that whole trip back to the battery, the LED lights up, and you know the cable's good. Okay? So we're just going to use these little buttons or switches to give us an easy way to complete that circuit. So I'm just going to tin the ends here. A bit of solder. And then, let's see. I'll do my orange one. Oops. I haven't tinned that one yet. Go ahead and okay, so I'll put this one on here. Come on, there it is. Try to get the jacket all the way up against the end of it. Give it a good tug. All right, and now I need a red. The red is going to go to the positive battery. There you go. That's ready to go. All right, so that's the LEDs and the switches. Once you have all those done with the connectors, and you're gonna stick them in the box. Okay, so let me know when you get to the point of sticking them in the box, and I'll talk you through that. But for now, that should keep most of you busy for a while. Any questions? No? All right.